Hi everyone, it's Lehman with Lace Covered Skies. I'm here today to continue working on my junky junk journal. The last time that I showed this on here, I was going through and cutting off the parts of these pieces that I didn't need and trimming them down. So I wanted to show you what I came up with in terms of the signatures. So this is going to be my first signature, and they're all pretty small, but this is the first signature, and there's a bag in here. This bag is a Ziploc bag. I mean, it's resealable here, but it also had 6 separate packs in here. So those packs of berries were individually wrapped, so that made this really nice because it was super clean inside. So that's going to be the second page in here. Next is this Slim Jim packaging, and it has a little window, so I thought that would be fun to do something with. This right here is paper that came with a package that I bought from Amazon, and it came like this. They had a bunch of this just wrapping and weaving through the box, and it's one long sheet, this whole thing. And there's perforation along the edge of each sheet. So you could tear off one piece or you could tear off 2 pieces. So I really loved getting that as a little bonus, you know, because we save things like that. Next is this contact solution box. This right here is going to be glued down and probably stapled as well to make a pocket. So I think I'm going to go ahead and glue that down right now. And I do want to staple it. Actually, let me just try gluing it on its own and seeing how well it does. So I am going to glue the bottom, even though it's connected, but just because this is such thick cardboard. So I'm going to glue this flap up like this. And what I like to do when I'm gluing something that's thick like cardboard is to just clamp it down so that it can dry like that. But this flap is going to be open once I sew it in, and then this is going to be the middle of the signature. So that is my first signature. This is my second signature, and this first page is an Amazon bubble envelope. I liked that texture. Next is a file folder. I cut the metal piece off of this file folder. Although, if I were to do it again, I probably would leave it on because that would be cool in a junk journal. I mean, in a junky junk journal. This is a bag of instant coffee. It's a long bag like this, so I'm gonna fold it in half. And I did cut this end so that this can be a pocket as well. This is a box, and let me see if I can find something. I turned this into a pocket right here. This is a Panera bag that I cut up. This is an Old Navy bag. This is a big junk mail envelope that I tore open along the edges that were glued because I want it to be the center of the signature. And once I sew the signatures in, I'm going to re-glue all the edges together. This is the other side of that contact solution box. This is the Old Navy bag, and it just repeats itself. So that's going to be my second signature. Now this right here is my third signature. So it starts with the Panera bag. It then goes to this little gauze box. some more of that paper, a Sprouts bag, paper. This is the wrapping on a cracker box. This is cardboard from these folders. I got these folders at an estate sale, so I guess the packaging was just bonus. And this was, it had makeup in here, so I went ahead and I cut off the flaps, and it's going to be the center of the signature, and it's going to be glued so that it's a clear pocket like that. All right, but that is my third signature, and the way I'm gluing these signatures is going to be very weird. This is not something I ever do in a regular junk journal, but it ended up happening in this because of the weird circumstance that I wanted the spine to be this thick, but I don't have cardboard, or I don't want to cut cardboard to make this thicker. So what I decided to do was have this. So this is going to be what I'm going to glue two signatures into. And after I glue the signature into here, I'm going to glue it onto the main spine. Now that's a really weird way to do it, but I'm going to do that. And then on this little leftover area right here, I'm going to sew in the first signature. So I'm not going to show you how I do all that because that's just like a weird way to do it. But I will show you how I sew in this signature because I'm going to use a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and the way I do it is the same way as you would do it in any other journal. So if you're watching this to see how to sew in a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, this is exactly how you do it. The first thing I did was I took a piece of paper that was as long, okay, this isn't quite as long, but it's as long as my signature. Okay, it's a little bit shorter, but that's fine. So what I do is I fold the middle to find the middle of this piece of paper. And then after I do that, so let's say I folded it like that, right, to find the middle. I fold it in half this way, hamburger style, to find the middle of that. And that's where I make my middle hole. And then I think about how far down I want my signature to go, like the stitch. So I don't want it to go like too far down, right? I want it to be near the top and bottom. So I fold it in again so that I can make the holes there. So that's how I ended up with these holes. One in the middle, one near the top, and one near the bottom. And then what I did was I figured out where I wanted to draw the holes in, and I just drew the holes in. And I made sure to center this piece of paper so that it's pretty much even from the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to do the same thing again, and I am going to make this set of holes along this line because it's kind of evenly spaced. So I am going to just go across and make sure I'm in line. So I'm in line with that. Now I'm going to make sure that this hole is in line with this hole. And I'm just going to draw in the dots. So that's going to be for my next signature. But for now, I'm going to show you how to sew in this signature right here, the third signature. So I'm grabbing my third signature and I'm going to go through and make sure that everything is where it should be. So I want this to come to the bottom. I want this page to be centered. I want this bag to be centered from the top and the bottom. This one can be right here. It's kind of in the middle. This one, I think I want to make a little higher. Okay, let me make sure that everything is lined up. And this is going to be right in the center like that. And this one, I want it to catch 2 holes. So I'm just going to kind of do this and space it out so that it's going to be sewn in 2 places. All right, now I am going to fold up my signature. Actually, let me fold it up this way, and I am going to clip it. So I'm holding it like that, and I use these long clips. Let me clip it from this side, clipping it in there. Hold it from that side. And then I'm going to use this big clip to clip this. This big clip is a little more sturdy. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. And I'm going to tell you guys that this is my least favorite part about making journals. Even though it's kind of the most gratifying part because you see everything come together, but it's, to me, the most awkward part. And a lot of the time, I seriously just procrastinate on this part. Next, I am going to center this. I'm going to center it. So that everything is as even from the top and bottom as possible. And I can either go in with my pokey tool right now or draw a line. I think I'm going to draw a line because these papers are so awkward. Not a line, draw circles, dots. Then after I have that, I take my pokey tool. Now I have this pokey tool as well as this one. I bought this one first because I was so excited to get started. This was a long time ago, but I really do not like this one at all. It's not as, you can't manipulate it as easy. This one, the hole pokes easier and it's just a lot easier to handle. So I'm gonna make sure it's locked, and I'm gonna poke my holes. So it just goes through so nicely and easily. And then I'm gonna go to the top hole. And then the bottom hole. Now these signatures are not very thick, so it's not that difficult to do this. Then I will poke the holes in here. Usually my spines are really thick. I reinforce them a lot. But because this is a junky junk journal, I don't mind if it's a little bit rickety. Now, I am using this waxed linen thread right here that I got. If I can find it on Amazon, that's where I got it. I will link it down below. But I was using embroidery thread and doubling up for a long time, and this just makes it so much easier. I usually use a thimble because I get more grip, and I usually use two, one on my thumb and one on my index finger. So let's see if I can dig this up. Okay. All right. So like I said, these signatures are not that thick, so it's not going to be that hard to do this, I hope. I go into the hole from the inside. So this is the middle of my signature. I'm going to go through here and pull the needle through. When I pull the needle through, I'm going to leave a good length on the back end. Right here to tie it. And I usually, when I measured it out, I'll do this step for you guys since I'll need to do this anyways. Okay, so I measure out 3 lengths worth. So 1, 2, 3. And then I just go ahead and cut it. And then I'll thread it through a needle. And the needle that I use is not that sharp right here. And the eye is not that wide. It's a long and large eye right there. Oh, I didn't turn one of my lights on. I hope the lighting wasn't too bad. But the eye it's large, but it's long. So it's not going to widen the hole too much as you're pulling this through. All right, so I went through the middle hole. Now I need to go through the middle hole of the spine. And I'm sorry if this is going to be really awkward because it already is off camera. So I hope it's not going to be too awkward on here as I'm recording. All right, so now I'm going to go through the bottom, or I could go through the top. It doesn't matter which order you choose. I'm going through the bottom hole from the outside because I just went in this way and out this way. Now I'm going in this way. Then I'm going to go in the bottom hole of the signatures. Now this can get tricky because the holes do not stay evenly aligned. There we go. So I'm going to pull that through. Making sure my end is still right here. And then I am going to go through the top hole. So you just came into the middle through the bottom hole. Now you're going to skip all the way to the top. So you're going to skip the middle hole and go to the top. Okay. So I don't usually pull everything tight until the end. All right. So now that I went through the top hole and I'm in the back, I'm going to go back in through the middle to come out the front again. And again, this can be a little bit tricky, so bear with me. I'm just trying to find my way here, and it's a little bit tricky right now. I think I am going to just go through the cover. I'm sorry if you can't see that. And then I'm going to go through the holes, which this one is really difficult. Okay, it's usually not this hard for me. Okay. I just need one more layer. I can feel it. Okay. Now what I do is coming through that hole, right? I want this middle thread here to be, okay, I basically want this needle to be, let me pull it through. I want both ends of this thread, okay, I'm done with the needle, to straddle the middle thread, if that makes sense. Is that confusing? So when I pulled this needle through, it came up on this side. Now if I tie the knot, it's not going to be as secure. But if I make sure that it straddles this, so that one side of the thread is on this side of the book, and one is on this side, and the middle string is right in between, it's going to make the tying of it more secure. All right, so I am now going to make sure that everything is nice and taut. Okay, see, my thread went through this other thread. I think that's why it was so difficult. All right. There we go. I'm going to make sure that this is really taut. And I'm going to just feel this to make sure it's extremely tight. And then I am going to tie it. Now don't make it so tight that it's going to break, because I've definitely done that. But make it tight like a guitar string, so that when you come back here, it's like pretty tight. I made this really tight actually. It's funny that it's going right through this eyeball. Okay, so I usually tie it about 3 times, and then once you undo it, you'll start to see this come together. Now I'm wondering if I tied it a little bit too tight. Okay, so this is the second signature. The first signature is going to be sewed in right here. But here's the first signature, the second signature. All right. So I am going to go ahead and turn off the camera. But I hope this was helpful to you. And I know it was a little bit fumbly, but sometimes that's just what happens when you're trying to sew in the signature. But I hope you liked this video, and if you did, I hope you give me a thumbs up down below. And if you want to see more videos from me, please consider subscribing to my channel. And thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye everyone.